Hello and welcome everybody that is going to join us retrospectively. And for those of you that are in here, namaste. Namaste to everybody that's arriving and shall be arriving. We've got Tom Rue, we've got the star. Welcome to you guys. I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are thriving. We've got Howard. Welcome, Howard. And yeah, man. Everybody else, sending you all a big love and blessings. I hope my audio is okay. Yeah. Let me know if there's anything wrong with my audio, if there's any distortion, or if it doesn't sound like I'm smiling enough. Just let me know. Say, hey, your voice not smiling enough, buddy. What's going on? That wouldn't be in character of me to sound like I'm not smiling. I've been accused of having a sense of humor once or twice in my life, and it's a kind of accusation that seems to follow me around and stick. At least it's not like a bad smell. Om Namah Shivaya. We got a cool little topic. We're gonna have Toby-Wan Kenobi joining us in a little while. He's running slightly late. What was his message? I didn't know if he would be joining me or not because I know his son was not well, but his son is healthy again. You know, kids, tummy bugs, schools. He just got home. He's jumped into the shower. So give him a few minutes. He'll be here. Did I send him the right link? Let's just make sure I did. So there's no other technical hitches. Yeah, I'm sure I did. So welcome to everybody. You're outside enjoying the sun. That's brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. And yeah, man, this is a topic that's quite close to my heart. You can imagine how many clients I get. Like, I don't know how many over the years, sad to say, thousands have come to me and they want to know about soulmates and twin flames. And I'm like shaking my head. And they're like, why are you shaking your head? I'm like, you need to forget everything you've learned from those videos or from the memes or from the New Age books, because there is so much New Age trash being written about it. But stick around. We're going to deep dive into it. Soul contracts. And there are many different types of soul contracts. And big love, namaste to all of you arriving. Hope you guys are smiling. If you're not smiling, get out. It's not the room for you. So obviously I say that tongue in cheek. Soul contracts are something that are profoundly misunderstood very often. People don't realize how we have. Let me give you an example. I have a soul contract with Ori over there, with Indigo. I have a soul contract with my little Midnight, with Petunia, with my little crew outside. I got a soul contract with the Garthon. He's sitting there on his food bowl. Better not speak too loud or he'll come running over here. I'm trying to make sure that he eats enough. We even make soul contracts with these little black mirror devices that we carry in our pockets, believe it or not. Soul contract with my girlfriend. Soul contract with my son's mother, my ex. Yep. Oh, yeah. Some soul contracts are fun. Some soul contracts bite us on the bum. Some soul contracts sound like a song singing dum-de-dum-dum. Some sound like Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, you know. And the nature of soul contracts is something which is interesting. And we can only really begin to scratch the surface of what soul contracts are and how they work in the context of the primal man. It sounds pretty impressive. I don't have any fancy audios to do it, so I have to do it vocally. Sorry about the noise in the background. That's my son's mother. She does sound a lot like a fishwife. On the upside, it looks like I'm having a problem with my LinkedIn. Those of you that are on LinkedIn, sending you all big love. View on LinkedIn. What is the problem on LinkedIn? There we go. LinkedIn. Oh, LinkedIn is back. View on LinkedIn. What is wrong with my LinkedIn stream? So anyway, it seems like there's an issue. Yes, Howard. Adam Cadman is what we call him in the West. And there's many ideas here. I mean, you can take it right back to the beginnings of the Brahmin tradition as well in Vedic India. And there's an equivalent in every culture for what we can consider the primal man, the cosmic man, the beginning of the chain of life, the ancestral chain that goes right back. If you're in India, you would call him Manu, right? And so Manu is the beginnings of humanity, but it's also the fundamental man of humanity. And by man, I mean not man. I mean human, the man of light, the man, the human being. Namaste. What country? What country do you think? Go on. You tell me, ex mater al. What country? Donna Whitten. I love it. Thank you. Thank you very much. No, I'm not whatever that sound was. I'm South African born and bred, but I'm not exactly South African because I spent half my life abroad. So I'm what in Hindustani is called a mixed masala hoga. It's the same way that I like to blend my Indian cooking with Italian cooking sometimes and create a new hybrid form of food, which people generally rave over. And next thing, I've got all sorts of people trying to move into my home and live with me. So I've tried not to show people too many of my cooking secrets. But yeah, I think, when it comes to soul contracts, to look at the beginning is probably a good place. The Adam Kadmon is the universal man. Hence, Adam carries the name of Adamus. And this goes back to very ancient. It's way older than the Bible. So let's not even pretend that we're talking about biblical stuff. Yes, I know the Bible has the story written in it as well, but it's got a very diluted form of the story. And it's been changed. And the serpent is changed. Of course, the serpent had to be demonized because why would humanity have a pathway back to redemption within themselves? Because that's what the serpent represents, the kundalini, that essence of potential within oneself to climb back into the arms of divinity and rediscover the innate inner child of wisdom and be able to bring forth those currents of truth, harmony, and power and wisdom. So, yeah, when we start to dismember Adam Kadmon or Manu, we start looking at it in terms of a cosmic scale of time. And we've been trained to think of time as a linear thing. But if we bend our minds, just bend it some more. Keep bending your mind until your mind becomes a circle. And then bend the anus to the mouth and allow the mouth to take the anus into the mouth. We call it Ouroboros, right? Or is the mouth head being taken into the anus? I don't know. That's a very wrong image. I prefer the mouth taking in the other. But anyway, I'm not sure which one's worse or better, but you get the idea. So we bend ourselves into a perfect metaphorical circle and get to the point where we're able to sort of appreciate that the alpha and the omega as a linear sequence, as a structure, beginning and ending, are essentially an idea of linear structure that we've used to be able to make sense out of something that's very difficult to sense. Snakes are the animal, but serpents are not always snakes. The Ouroboros. Yes, brother. The Ouroboros is the best. The best a snake can get. I think as well, when it comes to all of these symbolic representations, that I've got a naked 9-year-old running around outside. He's probably come to brag about how big his poo is. If you hear a 9-year-old in the background going, "Yeah, Dad, mine," then you know what that is, just in case it catches you off guard. I've got a 9-year-old in the house. What can I say? I told him he really needs to go to the toilet because he hasn't gone to the loo for 2 days. And any child that eats the way this child eats. You know what I'm saying? Ouroboros. So yeah, the wheels. Namaste, dear love. How are you doing? The wheels, the alphanim, as they are called in the Kabbalistic system, or the chakra in the Vedic system, is fundamental to this turning and the whirlings of the Ouroboros. In fact, the 9 planets are the 9 elements of the turnings of the whirlings, if you will, the whirlings, right? Which is an interesting word if we break it right down. So the soul family is really a massive soul collective, and within the soul family, there are soul families. And within each of those soul families, there are soul families. Let me give you an example. Imagine, as a metaphor, let's say I take my country. You could do it in the States or anywhere else. And I say South Africa is a soul family that is part of a bigger soul family called Africa, which is part of a bigger soul family called Earth. And within my soul family of South Africa, there is a soul family of the Western Cape, the Eastern Cape, the Transvaal, Natal, various different provinces that constitute this soul family. I happen to be in the Western Cape soul family. And within this Western Cape soul family, there are a number of different places, cities, towns, villages. I'm in the Cape Town soul family. Within the Cape Town soul family, there are different districts. I'm on the coastline of the Cape Point Reserve. That's one part of that soul family. And then within that, I'm in the Simonstown part of that soul family. And within that, I'm in the Seaforth part. And the Seaforth is my immediate community, which is a part of Simonstown, which is where all the, it's where the penguin sanctuary is, and it's right next to this little nature reserve. So, and so if you can understand that as a collective, constituting collectives, made out of collectives. And then, where I live is Claintain Road. We have our little Claintain Road community. And above us is a gay road community, right? And we've got the little mountain community above the main road, for example. And so there's little communities of each bigger community. And so when it comes to soul family, we've got this very profound connective web that connects us all to each other in a profound soul family. So we are all fundamentally connected in that sense. But within those families, there are different families within families within families within families. And just like I come from the Shanahan family, right? But within the Shanahan family, there are other families, and I've got mixtures of other families within me. So I'm now the Williams family, which is an offshoot of the Shanahan family. And so these soul families are our fundamental sort of chain that connect all of us human beings together in a wheel, in a chakra, that we are in this dance of life together. And we will reincarnate together in cycles with our immediate soul family. And within our little soul families, there are other cliques of soul families that we are related to. Hence, some families will be close to other families on the earth plane. We have dear Toby Shinobi has joined us. Like I like to say, Toby One Kenobi. He is a researcher. He does word twirlings. How's that for a new word, huh? Word twirlings. He takes words and he puts them on the end of his fingers and he twirls them around like he gets some.
I would say it's more of a word pool, like a whirlpool, but of words.
Oh, a whirlpool. Yeah, well,
man. A word pool.
Yeah, a word pool. I like it.
Word pool. Yeah, man.
Lovely. It's an honor to have you with us, dear brother. I hope your day's been good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. Little Ori was sick earlier in class, though, bless him. Just remember I said Bodhi's not been too well, and today Esme had to collect Ori early from school, so he's not very well, bless him. But the rest of us are fine. I just hope he's all right with it, because the last time Ori's, who's my 7-year-old, had a stomach thing, it lasted a week because he kept eating and kept drinking. He'd wake up and like sneak some food or you know, like get food out of the fridge and stuff. And with this sort of thing, you have to like not eat any food and be careful with water, like have sips of like warm water. So hopefully it doesn't last too long, because Bodhi, who's 4, had it, and it was about 24 hours. So fingers crossed he's all right in a day or two. Yeah, Howard, you talking about the whirlpool. It's also like the Norns as well. Are they called the Norns? The 3 fates at the base of Yggdrasil, which is like a well or a whirlpool, which is sort of like where the 4 rivers cross as well, like in the center. You can look at that as the center of everything, is the past, present, and future. So I think there's a common thread there between the 3 fates, the words, the weirds, like casting our own fate by pulling words to us, like letting stuff spin. So yeah, how are you doing, Franklin? Sorry I'm late today. I got home actually from work at 3 and just jumped in the shower really quickly, so ready to go. Good to see everyone in the chat as well. Tom Rua, D-Love, Howard. Hope you're all doing well.
Yeah, brother. I was just sending some money to my son's mom because she's popping to the shop. I made some food, and luckily my local store, he gets these paranta made by a local lady, which are pretty good. And they're homemade. You know paranta, Indian breads? Because I made a bit of a curry. And so I was cooking up just before I got here.
Are they like naan breads? Are they different?
They're different to naan breads. They're actually nicer than naan breads. Naan breads, they use milk to make. The paranta, they use a little bit of oil when they prepare it. But the naan breads are good, but naan breads are more fluffy. Paranta, the best paranta are the aloo paranta with a potato in it. Oh my gosh, mouth-watering. You got to make those yourself or find a restaurant that can do them well. Yeah, man. So just checking that money went through to my son's mum. Yes, it did. Indeed, it did. Okay, there we go. And make sure that I send to her so she knows it's there. So yeah, we were talking about the soul families and how the collectives of the soul families operate, and just exactly how important it is that we are able to connect on a deep level with each other, because the people that we are with in our lives now, we don't realize how important they are, right? Like a lot of people say, well, I don't love my parents. I can't get on with my family, my brother, my sister. And I'm like, dude, these are part of your soul family. They go, soul family? I'm going, yeah, man, there's a genetic resonant frequency running between you and your siblings. Even if you seem like you're on a different planet and you're moving in different directions, there's a fundamental bond. We used to say in the old days that blood was thicker than water. And there's something to that. People have lost that sort of sense of importance, I think, for just exactly how fundamental this truth is when we really look at it. And excuse me for multitasking while I talk, but they say men can't multitask. Well, this one can. Yeah. So the idea with with this notion of our soul family is it's got to do with frequencies and vibration, right? There's parts of you and there's parts of me. And the parts of me are made out of other parts, which are made out of other parts that are made out of other parts. And they get together and they form gangs. And the little gangs cohabit together and they have a sense of synergy that forms systems. And the systems get together to form synergies. And so there's like my memory, my imagination. But my imagination is made out of different mental characters that operate together. And each of those little mental characters is made out of tribes. A fundamental tribe, and each fundamental tribe has within it little tribelets, and each of those little tribelets has within it individuals, and so it's, think of a fractal system, And so what you speak of as your memory or your imagination from a shamanic perspective is a crowd. And so within me, I am a crowd of crowds of crowds of crowds of crowds of crowds. And these crowds, many of the individuals in my crowds are the same individuals in my soul family collective crowds, right? So the same individuals that are part of a crowd in my brother's memory will be part of a crowd in my memory. It won't be the same crowd. I'll have some individuals that my brother doesn't have. He'll have some individuals that I don't have. I might have more individuals from a different cousin or a auntie or an uncle or a grandparent that he doesn't have, and he might have from a different, hypothetically. But there are fundamental characters within the crowds of these archetypes that are the same, literally the same character. We share parts. Hence, the telepathy between people in the same soul family is so potent and so pronounced. And so when we look at the shamanic elements of how this works, we could literally say that within our body there's different forms. What are these animal guides? These are part of us. Within our crowds there are animals. Oh yeah, baby, animals within our crowds. And some of us relate to some of those animals in our crowds in quite a pronounced way. And those animals within those crowds we can relate to, and we can bring forth the hidden DNA connection, the ancestral DNA connection of these animal forms of consciousness within us, and we can use them, and they can use us, and they can be, a two-way street of aid that works. And I just want to make sure that this. Are you delivering something? Are you a delivery? Cool. I'm on a live. You're not delivering anything, right? Thank you. No. I gotta go. Thank you. Bye bye. Somebody trying to sell me something. I don't know what they're selling. Life insurance, whatever. So yeah, that this idea that we're synergetically bound and made out of all these creatures is interesting. What are your feelings and thoughts with regards to this connection, the blood connection with our family, and how the younger generation are sort of not paying homage to that?
Well, I just want to first stop on the words synergy and the fact that it's got sin in it, and it's also sign. So sometimes we can get signs from different people, like they can give off first a frequency that we can recognize, but also like there can be signs from people, like characteristics and stuff too. And I think that the word sin is being kind of flipped on its head. And the way with words and how words work is that, like, I mean, the whole story of Christ dying for our sins, I always view as our light, not our badness. But then also there's a whole guilt trip there, and there's lots of there's a lot of gaslighting and a lot of stuff done for us to detach from ourselves and from our true frequency. And because someone in the chat mentioned oneness earlier, and I've been saying for a little bit, this is something I feel that is, we all have our own unique frequencies. Like we're in a frequency, like we're in a sea of like water or a field or whatever, and we're all connected. We're not separate, and that connection is God. What people call God is we're a part of it, and it connects us all. But we all have our own unique frequency, and other people's frequencies, we can probably feel connected to certain people, whether it's probably from past lives or whatever. But yeah, I can't really remember what you first said, because I had just synergy like racing around my head, and I had to sort of break that down. So I can't remember what you said. Something about schools and kids not connecting to their ancestors. You're muted, by the way.
I know my keyboard's supposed to unmute when I push those buttons, but it didn't for some reason. And I was just responding to Tom Rue, like, the star of the show is sitting on my leg and he wants to chill there, so I'm going to let him chill. He's in a funny little mood today. He'll come up soon. You'll see him climbing up when he feels like it. Basically, what I was getting at is like I've noticed there's this big trend with people in this generation, and more so in this generation, that say like, "Oh, my parents, I don't get them. I really don't. I really I hate my parents. I hate my family. Oh, they're so full of crap." And this is that. And there's always been a sort of a distance generationally, like even when I was young, but it's becoming more pronounced, this distance between people with their own family. And because of the largeness of the soul family, like I consider you in my soul family, even though we weren't born from the same parents and bloodline necessarily, but we are connected DNA. We just don't know it. When you go back to the roots of humanity, there weren't that many of us. And so our connection is a very old connection. Like you meet a girl and you fall in love with her. I'm sorry to say, there ain't no such thing as not having incest, baby. All sex is incest. It's just how incestuous, you know? Is it your sister or your cousin or your second cousin? Or are we going further down the line? It's a funny thought to think that in some way we're related to our girlfriends. Think on that next time you get down for some jiggy action. But, seriousness aside, so we're all related on some fundamental level through the DNA that we share. But when we get closer to our blood family on this planet, it's more to do with our mission now, specifically, even though there might be juxtaposition, right? Like one group of family might be going that way and that way, but we're all part of a same converging action. And that love vibration and that care and that sense of connection with our family is so important. And because that connects us to the greater soul family, to all of those other families that are also part of our family. In fact, it's an interesting thought when you start and think about it. When I call people brother and sister, some people react and go, "Well, I'm not your brother." I'm like, dude, you just didn't know it. Brother from another mother, we are all related. And it's something which is so powerful to think about. It's cosmic, right? Like the intermingling of the human race has been going on for millions of years. At some point in time, there's some crossing over. And it's what makes us all so similar, right? 2 eyes, like one nose, one mouth, 2 ears, like 10 fingers, Meet someone with 11 fingers ago. I don't know whether we're related, really. Like, too many digits. Like, I don't know if I'm related to you, But in a fundamental way, we are. And so there's this pulling away from our family and a lack of respect. Like, I don't relate to a lot of my family in Uteneg, and I'm not really connected with them, in fairness. But there's still a love, and there's still a sense, and there's not a resentment. I'm talking about specifically the resentment that people harbor. And like, I know people that are really suffering, and I get that there's causes for resentment. There was a time when I had a lot of resentment for my mom, because stuff happened when I was younger and stuff. But I came to terms with that. Like, when I became a young adult, I sat down with it and I really did the shadow work. And I was like, wow, okay, this is where I'm going wrong. This is what I've got to recognize. And when I healed that, I healed the connection with my mom. And the interesting thing was that because of this powerful soul connection, we are able to help and heal those in our immediate soul family by healing ourselves. That's how closely we are connected. So if we change ourselves to becoming emotionally, spiritually, psychologically more healthy, our parents become emotionally, psychologically, spiritually more healthy, whether they know it or not. They might not believe what we believe. They might have completely different ideas. They might think we're daft. They might be like completely crazy. Like in the event where people are homosexual, I've seen this very often, very sad. And the parents like disown their boys because like, no, you're gay. The father's like, you're a butt slammer, butt slamming your buddies on the bus stop while you're waiting for a bus. You ain't no son of mine, And it gets pretty nasty and pretty ugly. And what's not realized is that there's some kind of a powerful karmic healing happening within these families. And to recognize that all of these difficult, dark shadow pieces and shadow emotions are part of a healing structure keeps us real. Does that make more sense? What I'm sort of, what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting because what I see happening is that people are getting more isolated or like individualized, and with the family, it's that which is familiar, but we've kind of, on the broader spectrum, we've been separated from our families because we don't live in circles anymore. Like, we don't live in circular spaces, which is important. We don't come around so often. We live in apartments, like separated literally from other people, but also because of the way things are of being affording to live in the town you grew up in, people have had to move away from their families. So now people are more kind of, I guess, isolated or individualized or detached from their families, but from what's inside them too, like their DNA or lineage too, because it works both ways, as within, so without. So this is part of the collective, like we energy of Araman, this materialistic, because it kind of creates a void in people, this lack of connection, and it's like this technology's put a wedge in between people and their families. Like, there's a kind of a distortion in reality where we can't what's the word, imagine it as a wave, and if it's distorted, you can't see what somebody else sees. You don't have a common unity or common sense of reality, of matter, of the frequency. There's a distortion, and like AI's or technology is not responsible for that. What's happened is this is created in the world, this problem, us being separated from our families and stuff, and our ancestors and our lineage, and now this artificial is coming in. And I think all of this is done on purpose, because if we were living in tribes, we'd be able to detect this threat before it happened. And I think that people used to be much more in tune with themselves and nature, and have a more, I guess, shamanic perspective of reality. Whereas now there's very few shaman, there's very few elders, that people that look at reality and themselves and other people and stuff is multi-layered. It's become quite compartmentalized. That's why we have scientism, and that's why we have AI, and it's artificial and technology and stuff. And yeah, with children, I think, and kids especially, initiation is so important. Like like just being seen, I guess that's what initiation is being seen. And because we all have a well inside of us, and we all have like doors that are locked, dormant potential, doorways in our mind, dormant, but we don't come into this world with the keys to open those doors. Part of the reason we're here is to collect keys and to share keys, to give other people keys to open their psyche, so we can all see with clarity. But I think that especially a lot of children, they're not seen, especially by fathers. They seem to like be further. There's a link between father and further. The father up in heaven, so far away, the mother earth is here. And I think that word needs to change, because fathers think that they should be further, which is sad. And I think that there's a void in people, like this well, instead of being recognized by others, there's a sort of disassociative energy in the world, with kids and stuff growing up thinking there's no future. There is a program put out there, like this huge fear spell for them to think there's no future, and that they're the problem, humans are a virus. All of this talk of like disclosure now, and star families, and it's all up and outwards. It's like people don't really focus on what's inside them already. It's always outsourcing rather than recognizing what's inside them. So yeah, I think that the key, or the main issue is initiation. Like, kids go to school, they go to college, they get a job just to keep the wheel spinning, keep the cogs turning, sort of thing. But that spark lays dormant in so many people, and that's because that they've not had somebody else recognize the potential, because of this spiral of other people not recognizing their own potential. But as soon as the potential is you recognize it in another, it sparks that flame, it ignites that frequency of their soul, that vibrates, and then that has a ripple effect. And like you say, the child can help heal the wounds of the parents too, in a lot of cases, as the past, present, and future are one and the same. So it's like right now I see lots of different timelines crossing, like lots of stories I hear of stuff that's happened in the past. I just can't help but recognize it's all happening now. And I see the past and I recognize it, and I use it as a kind of a ledge, like the knowledge. And I'm like, okay, that's a ledge. I can view it, bounce off it, whatever. But I just see everything is happening now. All these myths, like the fall of Sophia, Christ dying on the cross, like that's Christ consciousness dying on the cross. This is the year X, which is a cross. The cross is a crossover. And just all of these stories, even the Emerald Tablets, what happened in that, it's all happening now. It's a really strange feeling to recognize that.
Yeah, it's like we forget to remember the future when we spend too much time dwelling in the past, and we don't realize that we can remember the future when we're not planning the past. We plan our past and remember our futures, and we don't realize this, right? How do we plan our pasts? Well, we plan and organize how we feel about our past and how we decide to view our past. And by viewing our past, we are planning it, planning how we're going to relate to it, and that changes who we are. And we remember our future by being trapped in the past, right? Because the cyclical nature of repetition, like the past will become the future, whether you like it or not. And there are octave changes and shape changes within the timeline that we can jump on if we choose, because the same circle can be drawn, like for example, a chain can be something that chains you down and binds you as a prisoner, or a chain could be something that attaches you to something really cool, right? Like you can be climbing a mountain, you can use a chain to pull yourself up. Like we've got the chains on Lion's Head. That's pretty cool. The chains pull you up on top of a mountain.
Like it's a link as well, a chain too. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it can link you to other people. It can connect you to cool things and cool experiences, but it can also be like a ball and chain. Isn't that how people used to refer to their wives? My ball and chain. Like that's one way of looking at it. Another way of thinking of it is like, my golden chain, this is my golden chain or my ball and chain. Which chain is she to you in your life? What does she represent to you, your partner? Is she your golden chain that makes you feel good and makes you look good and like, yeah, that's my golden chain? Or is she your ball and chain, like, oh, I'm a prisoner, I'm stuck in this world, Like, what does your wife represent to you? And how you relate to your wife will decide how that becomes the future, right? Speak of your wife as your ball of chain, as then the future is just going to become more like that. Speak of her as your golden chain, and she'll be inspired and inspire you and become more gold. And you'll have to go, okay, platinum chain. Gold just doesn't cut it anymore. It's platinum, dude. We've just upgraded. So I think I think this is like really important to recognize, and this sort of brings us into an interesting perspective as well when we look at this sort of, and we open our minds to this possibility, then we're able to see quite clearly exactly. I want to see quite clearly exactly what I wrote. Excuse me. Twin flames? That's where I can remember what the discussion's about. Twin flames, soulmates. Yes, and so like it makes me want to look at soulmates, right? Soulmates and twin flames. Oh my gosh, these terms. These are almost cringe terms. When I hear people saying the terms, I cringe inwards because I'm like, what does that mean to them? What do they think they're saying? You know, it's like when you hear someone saying the word God, you've got a cringe inside, like, oof, is he wearing a blue t-shirt or is he wearing a white overall? What do you mean? What is he wearing? Is he sitting on a mahogany throne or a stone throne or a golden throne, right? Does he have a wand in his hand or does he have a flower in his hand? Like, what is God? Or is it even a him? Is it a she? Or is it a it? You know, is it like a dog sitting like what is God? You know, and we assume that we understand these concepts, any concepts, but do we really? And how much of that understanding is just our own sort of projection onto it? So when I hear the term, like, for example, what is a soulmate? Okay, this, I'll give you my breakdown of a soulmate. Well, she's like a sister, but she's a sister that you do hanky panky with. Think of it like that. Do you go, oh yeah, the kind of sister you do hanky panky with, and that you can share your life with, right? But what makes two people soulmates? Well, obviously there's a male and female. There's a connection here. There's a synergy of the seventh principle of Hermes, right? Of the sexes coming together in a synergy. So there's that generative potential between the two, receptivity and projectivity, and it's two people that have been on a path through life and they've been connected, and this is not the first time. When you meet a soulmate, you know you've met a soulmate because there's a connection that's instant, and that connection will reveal itself as memories of past lives together at some point if both are working hard towards like understanding the synergy between them. And so these are two parts of a soul family that have been traveling together. They've been traveling together for a long time. Is that a caracal cat? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's a big bird. It must be one of those big birds. It's sort go like past the side there. I thought it was that big. We got big caracal cats here that come onto our property. The dogs love it when they see them. They get very excited. Big, massive cats. I got a Malamute. He's like, I'm bigger than you. Ha ha. So he chases them. But so yeah, this notion of two people that are in this fundamental spiritual connection, and they've got a karmic duty that they share. That's what sort of defines a soulmate connection. And that karmic duty goes beyond this life. And they will reconnect again and again in different lives. And there'll be soulmate connection until they fulfill that karmic duty that they have together, right? And then they will go off and make other soulmate connections for other chapters. So it's not just a page. If you think of one life as a page, we're talking about a chapter, right? And so there's this powerful connection that transcends the flesh, transcends the physical, transcends this linear timeline into the loop of time, so we can understand the time loop with another human being. And so the soulmate is quite a profound and spiritual thing. And then we've got this twin flame thing, and now everybody's like, well, I don't want I want a twin flame. Why? Because they're better. Why is twin flame better? Well, it's like an upgraded soul flame. No, it's not. It's like an upgraded soulmate. No, it's not. Twin flame and soulmate are just two different things, like apples and bananas. Are apples better than bananas? I don't know. They're both pretty cool. You can do cool stuff with either. Like, depends what you want to do, you know. Bananas are great. Apples are great. Oh. And so when we look at the twin flame thing, then it's like you've got soulmates. It's just a particular type of soulmate, a soulmate connection. But in this life, not only are you working your karma together, but you're working your karma together in the exact same way. So what does that mean? It means that, let's say, a husband that's a doctor and a wife that's a doctor, and the two of them together have a medical practice that they work together. They work together, they play together, they have a family together at home. At home, they're bringing up a bunch of little baby doctors, little doctors. It's like a doctor family, like mom's a doctor, dad's a doctor, kids are going to be doctors. It's just doctor, doctor, doctor. And so, and obviously, you know, the dad and the mom, even though they're like technically, in the broader sense, brother and sister, they like to play doctor, doctor, you know? So, this idea of this twin flame then is a very, very challenging idea, and everybody's looking for twin flames. It's like, do you really want a twin flame? Because a twin flame brings in a lot of intense karma to the surface, more so than a soulmate, right? So because you're really like rubbing against your own karmic substance in a very heavy way, because there's no breathing room in a twin flame relationship. They often burn out. They often can't cope. They often have short periods together and then they have to go in separate ways. That is the nature of a twin flame. Everybody comes to me, I want a twin flame. Do you really want one? Do you know what a twin flame is? Do you really want a twin flame? Okay, sure. A twin flame relationship can be, you'll spend 10 years together or 15 years together, but it will be the equivalent of 35 or 40 years crammed into that 10 years. And then you won't be together anymore. That's really what twin flames end up being, where a soulmate connection can go the distance. You see? So they're different. It's compounded. It's all compounded. You know, if you spend like all your time together, it's the same as like a lot more time. And so there is this like profound differences within this. But the nonsense I see people talking about in the New Age community and stuff, it just seems like it's something different. They're making it out to be this big thing. And the interesting thing is that like the soulmate connection is more common than what we realize. And very often people can't handle that. And very often people are facing their soulmates and they call them narcissists. What do you think about that word narcissist and how easily and quickly it's thrown around? Especially like, you know, the New Age TikTok. Everybody's partner was a narcissist, right?
Yeah, I think just from my experience, narcissism comes from a deep childhood wound, like trauma as a child, I think. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of narcissistic behavior. Do you know what I noticed since 2023, the rollout, no, 2003, the rollout of 3G and Instagram and Facebook, that there are more and more people with narcissistic tendencies because it's all about filming yourself, how you look and stuff. Basically, it's a mask. I view narcissists as wearing a mask. In my perspective, really. And it relates to the myth of Narcissus as well. Just not that deep wound of being separated from the depths of who you are, separated from the subconscious, the masculine of the conscious awareness, and then the feminine of the subconscious. Hence Narcissus and his twin sister. And then I always say that the gnosis terms to know systems is like with Narcissus is to recognize that you have this well inside you, this which you travel to on water, or you know, the underworld and stuff. People are always made to fear the underworld, the depths, the dark, the deep. And I think that's where people put all their baggage and stuff, and they put up a mask. And that's what I think narcissists are. Like I have kind of compassion at the same time as you know, a dislike or whatever. but I haven't really looked into what a narcissist is. It's just my own perception. I have. I've looked up a little bit. I'm not really too well versed on, on narcissists or narcissism too much. I've just kind of skimmed it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. It reminds me of Narcissus. That's where we get narcissism from, and it's to do with suppressed memories, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding of it from I've been with two women that were both senior psychologists, one in the UK. She was very senior, like very, very senior, level 8, I think, NHS, whatever. And another one that ran an institute in Australia. And until then, I didn't really fully appreciate, like from clinicians' perspective, people have done the clinical work, what a narcissist is. But it basically, if you break it down, it's firstly somebody who has an incredible desire for control. They have an extremely self-defining need to control others. And they also have an extreme hunger for recognition and for adoration of others. So their extreme hunger for recognition from others trumps everything. Then their desire for control is next on the hump. So, for example, a narcissist is someone that will act like a real nasty piece of crap towards another human being. When there's people around, they'll be all lovely and friendly. That's like one of the clue hints. And narcissists are really impressive people. Narcissists will come across as like, wow, these people are really like interesting. Like look at celebrities. They're really cool. They're hip. They got like really cool like little words that they say and stuff, things that they do. But then it'll be noticed like hold on, what are they doing? Right? Like what are they doing? Like what do they do with their lives? Oh, this amazing guy is sleeping with his nanny while his wife's doing yoga, while doing this, while screwing over that one. And then, oh, well, he also messed around with that one and this one. And it's like a womanizer, but like he's a nice guy, that's an example of what we see in the media, as well as other things, people just be really nasty. Like you'll find out, like, for example, a celebrity, someone who worked for them, going public and saying like, I've never ever been so humiliated in my life, every day of my life, treated like a piece of crap. Like I had a nervous breakdown after I had worked for that celebrity because I needed therapy that messed me up so badly. And, apart from everything else. And so, firstly, those are the first points. The second point of a narcissist is the desire for control gives them energy. So they want to own somebody else's life and they want to change them. So their desire for control is to reach into another person's life and change that person in such a way that that person becomes an expression of their will. In that process, they're taking their personal power, they're taking their energy, they're taking their sense of self-worth away from them. And that makes the narcissist feel important and powerful. Because look at me, I can take your power and your self-worth from you. And they drain that human being like a shell. Once that human being has been drained empty and they're no longer getting the sustenance of that because now it's boring, now that person's just a bot, then they throw that person aside, right? But now that person has got to be destroyed because there might be evidence of their narcissism, because their first prime directive is to be loved and adored by people. So they then have to destroy that person, right? They have to go out of their way to destroy that person completely till there's nothing left of that person, so that everybody hates that person for what a bad person that is. So the narcissist will usually make out their victims to be narcissists, so that everybody hates them, like, what a narcissist. But the real narcissist is the one that's pulling the narcissist stunts. And so that's like often what happens. And according to what I've come across from clinicians is that, and both of them said to me about at least 2/3 of all of their clients are people that have come in contact with narcissists that come for therapy. It's quite heavy. More than half of people that go to therapy because they were somehow connected to a narcissist, either in the workplace or romantically or family or whatever. So, an example of a parental narcissist, right, would be a pedo, right, that messes with their child and then makes their child feel like it's their fault. Does that make sense? And then brainwashes their child into believing, gaslights them into believing that it's their fault that it happened. They kept leading them on. Look what you made me do. There's a classic narcissist phrase, look what you made me do. Right? So, yeah, a narcissist is quite a particular thing. And then they do have sociopathy and often psychopathy mingled in with the narcissism. So it's a fairly intricate and quite an evolved mental illness to have. And I think that's just something that people forget, is that narcissists are ill as well, But yeah, so it's interesting how that soul contract is a source of energy. And I think that's probably a good place to dwell, right? A soul contract is a shared resonance. A soul contract is a shared vibration of resonance in the DNA field. If you meet someone in the world that you have a resonance with, it's because you resonate. And if you resonate with someone, it's because your DNA and their DNA are resonating. We're talking resonance, vibration, frequency, pitch, harmonics. And this harmonic spectrum between yourself and them produces a resonant frequency of tones. And through that tones, there's the conveyance of energy. And so it's an energetic connection. And that energetic connection can be a way for people to help each other, heal each other, and uplift each other. And bring each other into a deeper sort of state of harmony. Hey! Hello, you're muted.
There you go. You can talk now. You can talk now, baby. You gonna say anything?
Yeah, actually on.
It's on. What are you gonna say? When you say hi to Franklin. Your mic's muted, Franklin.
I was saying I'm glad you're feeling better. Glad you got your energy back. Your dad said you were feeling a little bit.
Ice lolly.
Ice lolly. Is that your medicine? I get you. Your medicine of choice, ice lolly. Mom, forget the medicine. I just need one ice lolly. Ice lollies are a lot of fun, aren't they? But they're not so good for your teeth, are they? So if you like sore teeth, then ice lollies, good way to go. But the cold of the ice lolly is very bad for your teeth. I don't know if you know that. You must only eat them once in a while because they will make your teeth fall out. Does that sound like fun?
Oh, we actually make.
No, they don't.
We actually make our own ice lollies with juice.
Yeah.
So they're not so bad.
It's frozen mango, coconut, and pineapple.
Frozen
Yum,
mango, coconut, and pineapple juice.
I think it's the cold. I think it's the cold on your teeth as well. Huh?
Right.
Depends on because your teeth are like normally at like body temperature, aren't they, within your body, and then you make them cold, and so that constant, like if you make something cold, it shrinks, and then it goes back to like this bending of the substance.
Right,
It's not as bad as jelly and custard.
Bye.
Bye, Bodhi. Have a good day.
Bye, Frankel.
He said,
Frankle, that's so cute.
Bye, Uncle Frankles.
Oh, that's so cute, Frankles. Frankles. Howard calls me that.
Yeah. It's interesting with do you know what? I might just have to wait a minute. You almost done?
Bye, Franco.
Yeah, I just need to do this.
Okay.
Hello.
So yeah, it's interesting with like it sounds like you're talking about vampires there, like draining energy, and vampires. There's so many crossovers because vampires drain blood, so they're looking for the warmth of another one because they're so cold, and also they have no reflection in the mirror as well, I believe, which is interesting because with the myth of Narcissus, the pool of water is a mirror, like a pool is a mirror, but they can only see themselves. They can't see. He can't see his sister because she's dead. Or actually, no. In the myth, he does see his sister. That's why he's so obsessed or whatever. I don't know. No, I need to like run that over my brain first, really, because that doesn't really work. But I think there's certainly a crossover with them not having vampires not having a reflection. That perhaps them not being able to recognize themselves in others or recognize others in themselves, that kind of mirroring effect. That's why they're so cold, because they're detached from their subconscious, because I think that's how we get to the root, to the depths of each other, is that recognition, which isn't just conscious. I think it's on a deep level, it's a subconscious. And I always say that the subconscious relates to our dormant DNA as well, because we have like 95% subconscious and 95% so-called junk DNA. And I think that we need to look through the water that our DNA is in, which is a plasma water, which it's a fourth phase water. And if we look past the fourth dimension, if we look past time, then we could recognize that light in others. And that this ties into what we're talking about with kind of dissolving the boundary of time, but you need to like go through the water to recognize that, which is the subconscious, which is the pool, which is the matter. So yeah, I think that's very interesting with narcissists wanting to drain others, because the blood is warm, and also the blood is kind of, that's what carries information of our ancestors, of our consciousness, our blood. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting as well. You're bringing up the point of vampires not having a reflection in mirrors, and the mirror is silver, right? Traditionally, mirror would have been silver put onto a piece of glass, right? And you'd be looking at that silver reflection, and it would be to do with the lunar energy. And so, like, on a metaphorical level, there's quite a lot of different ways in which that sort of plugs in and sort of assimilates with the idea of narcissism, because a narcissist lives through other people's perspective of them, perception, right? So a narcissist gets power from other people thinking like, oh, wow, you're amazing. How many people think Donald Trump is like a really stand-up bloke? Right? How many people think that?
I find that quite hard to understand. They get power from other people thinking that but don't most people hate them? Like, don't they think other people like them, don't they?
No, the true narcissists are loved.
Wow. Well, yeah, like Trump. Yeah, makes sense.
Because narcissists, they want to get to the top no matter what, right? So there's an element of sociopathy there. So they have a sociopathic tendency, right? Like a lack of empathy. And they don't feel the harm they're doing to others as harm, because the others are just at their disposal. Like, people are to be used. Sociopaths use people, right? And a sociopath's a bad thing, but a narcissist is like a highly developed sociopath with a whole lot of other bags of tricks added in, poisons and different, like it's like you take all the poisons and throw them in one container. You got narcissist. It's like this is the bomb, And so yeah, the narcissists are generally like like very, very well loved and highly respected, because they value the perception from other people so highly. So they really care about how they're perceived. So that's why they have to destroy their victims, because the victim is evidence to their condition. And they think they are so amazing and that they are so perfect. And human beings, as human beings, we're susceptible to other people's projections onto us, right? So if someone comes into the space thinking, I am amazing, I'm the best thing since sliced cheese, we might unconsciously think, wow, this person's amazing. They're the best thing since sliced cheese. And a big group will be like observing like how amazing this person is, best thing since sliced cheese. But that very often is the condition. And so for the public on the social face, they will do whatever it takes to maintain their appearance of being perfect. But when they are off camera, that's when the demonic self comes out, right? And so that this is something that we'll notice. Like, how many celebrities are out there doing charity work and doing like good things, you know? Like to like look at the great things they do. Bill Gates, wow, the Bill Gates Foundation. They're trying to like stop world hunger. They're going to like build. People think, well, Bill Gates is an amazing guy, man. He donates hundreds of millions of dollars to helping children in need. Yeah? Well, what else does he do to children in need? Or what else does he need from children? I'm not going to go there. But, you know, this is where what we're talking about. These people are extremely successful very often because of their narcissism. And here's the irony. Narcissists get put on top of pedestals in this world. It's almost like the system's rigged. The system's rigged so that narcissists rise above, right? Isn't that fascinating? Like, do you think it's a coincidence that most of the celebrities, a lot of them are narcissists? Most of the politicians, a lot of them are narcissists. Most of the billionaires, a lot of them are narcissists. These people have no conscience. They will do whatever it takes to get what they want, and they will exploit people. And a lot of them get pleasure out of seeing other people hurt, right? That's another element of narcissism, right? The perverse pleasure that they get out of destroying another human being. So a narcissist, a satanic narcissist, for example, would get incredible pleasure out of finding a really good person and getting them to do really bad things. And if the person is bad, then they like toss him out and find another good person. It's like their exertion of their satanic power is that they can corrupt the good, you know, and they get power from this. And the power that they get attracts entities toward them, right? And those entities feed off of that power. And so it's in the entity's best interest to keep the flow of that power towards the person so that they can get more sustenance, right? So you talk about these narcissists and vampires. They attract vampiric entities that feed off of what the narcissists are doing. And those entities then obviously look after the narcissist and push them up and give them the power that they need to move into. So this is like where black magic comes from. If you think about it, black magic is an element of narcissism, right? The very idea of taking a creature and destroying that creature and harming that creature so that you can take its power for yourself to achieve your own goals at the suffering and expense of that animal. Like, what are we talking about here? What is blood sacrifice all about? If we look at it, like really look at it, right? Like it's stealing somebody else's life force. And so narcissists are very adept at stealing other people's life force. And so that's sort of exploiting the soul chain, exploiting that soul family connection in the most perverse and demented way, where they could be literally helping that person, right? They could be being playing the role of someone that's healthy. Namaste, Pitbull Pride. How you doing? Big love, big blessing. The first narcissist I met were within your own family. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Pitbull. But make sure that you're sure, is what I always say. And remember, you heal yourself, you heal your own family. It's something we forget. but it's how we're sort of wired energetically into each other. What else
Well,
was on the table here?
I've
Yeah,
made
brother.
I've made some notes, and I hope they make sense. I'll just read them out first before we maybe like dig into them or move on. But so like you have like people in the music industry, like Billie Eilish is a good example, song lyrics saying "I sold my soul," and there's all that means to me is selling your soul is just letting an entity use your subconscious, like you're letting someone use you, but it's tied to the subconscious, I believe. And also that came up for me as like astral entities being related to the emotional body, and then with narcissists being sorcerers, which is like source error because they're not connected to source, so they they want to catch up from everyone else, right? And then this is all seems to be all about connection to the subconscious, and there's a lot of spiritual bypassing or spiritual narcissism happening now, and this is merging with this UFO disclosure. First off, disclosure, the word means the opposite to closure, doesn't it? Right? And I keep hearing disclosure everywhere like it's the truth, but think about it. Disease, dis-ease, you're not at ease, you're away from it. So disclosure is the opposite to closure. They're literally telling you that this whole AI, UFO, I'm from another planet, star system, alien gods, is some interesting stuff going on, and this is to do with like there's a lot of spiritual narcissism going on with that because people are disconnected from source, from the earth, from their ancestors, so they think they're from like another planet and stuff. Maybe people are, whatever, but I just think that this is a load of nonsense. Like as far as I'm concerned, like we're all from here, or like there are certainly a big chunk of us that are, and that there's a takeover happening by this like I don't know, there's something leaked into this realm, like it talks about in the Emerald Tablets, like something that shouldn't be here. There's a distortion. But also on the dollar bill, you have the capstone removed, which is like the eye, which could be like the Uck, known as Big Brother, or the central eye. You have 13 steps under it, 13 families, or is it mem? Is it a memory? Is it just showing us that we're being detached from our memory, but by the monetary system? An example is the eye at the top, representing maybe like Pluto or Mars, the number 9 eye on the Enneagram, and that what the monetary system does is it detaches us from the base of the pyramid, so we're always ascending upwards, and our eye is detached. The eye being identity as well. So I think that, yeah, clearly narcissists have an identity crisis, an identity distortion. I think it's very interesting with astral entities and the emotional body, because I don't really know too much about that, but there is like a kind of broadcast in the world of creating narcissists for sure, and technology has a huge part to play in that. And like I said earlier, sorcerers is source error, so there's a kind of spell at play to detach us from source, so that we're always filling the void with drugs, sex, alcohol, pharmaceuticals, burying, pushing it down, while at the same time seeking approval outside of ourselves, or always looking out upwards into space. And then we've got to a climax right now of aliens, like UFOs, disclosure and stuff, which is being run by the narcissists. So there's very interesting stuff going on in the world right now, for sure.
And there's 3 things I want to say about what you were saying. But the other thing that I forgot to say earlier about the mirror and vampirism inability to self-reflect. That is fundamental in a narcissist. There is a fundamental inability to self-reflect. When they do something wrong, they project it onto the other person. They are perfect. They are without error. So there's a lot of narcissist Christians out there. Sorry to say, people, religious people often become narcissists because they are too pure and too perfect, and any errors or any evil is outside of them. And so they can't imagine that there's something within them that's wrong. And that is what turns you into a narcissist to begin with. I believe. I'm not sure, but that's my idea.
The self-reflecting as well with the myth of Narcissus is him looking into the water. No sis is to know sis, and then I relate the sis to sister, to the water, to his twin, which he was separated, which is just to do with our psyche, as all myths are, the separation of our subconscious, those systems, and the conscious mind. So that's sort of like what gnosis is inner reflecting, intuition, rather than just staring into matter and thinking that it's all you, just materialistic kind of, I guess, just dense, rather than sort of looking deeper into things and recognizing the soul in others as well and not wanting to drain them.
Yeah, man, exactly. And then the other thing that you said was sell your soul. Ooh. Okay, so what is sell your soul? What does it mean? Okay, so a cell is a separate unit, separate to the whole. It's a cell. A cell is separate, or it's tissue, right? So when we think of a cell, to sell your soul is to separate your soul from the soul family. To separate yourself from the soul collective is to put such strong walls around yourself so that you're no longer one with the family. This is what narcissism does. The walls of protection are so strong around the psyche, around the ego and the persona, that they cannot be breached. Hence, no opportunity for self-reflection. They see what they want to see. They see of themselves what they manage to convince. So they hijack other people's perceptions of them. Why does a vampire need permission to enter? Here's a key. Because you need to see them in the way that they want themselves to be seen in order to be able to get into your energy field. Because they don't have self-reflection, they don't have self-perception. So you see them as being amazing, then they see themselves through your eyes as being amazing. It substantiates how amazing this person is, and that way they can keep the fantasy alive. So yeah, the soul, selling your soul is disconnecting your soul from the collective by putting up such powerful walls of no vulnerability, because vulnerability is what makes us human. The fact that we're vulnerable, the fact that we're imperfect, means that we need to stand together, because like one's not enough on its own. Everybody, we're all here to support each other. And when we realize that we're not perfect, then we are grateful for the support of others, and we give the support to others, because we realize that all this nonsense, what is the words that they say in relationships? They say codependency. Ooh, another one of those funny terms. There is only codependency. It's been turned into a swear word. There are negative aspects of codependency, sure, but everything is codependency. There is no such thing without codependency. There is only codependency in the universe, because we all depend upon each other. We just don't realize it. Without codependency, where would my water come from? Where would my electricity come from? Where would my food come from? Where would the clothes I'm wearing? I depend on someone else to grow this cotton, someone else to make the cotton, someone else to turn it into clothes, someone else to bring it across to me, someone else to show me on television or on a picture what this clothes looks like, someone else to handle the money transfer so that I can get this, someone else to actually bring the package to my door. That's just the clothes. And every single aspect of my life is the same. Someone else is making this stream possible for us to talk. A lot of someone else is out there, each person doing their own part in it is somewhere else. So codependency is like a fundamental currency of life. And now we've been taught that codependency is bad. Well, or codependency as it's sold is when we are no longer standing on our own 2 feet, because we're supposed to stand on our 2 feet. In other words, what they're calling codependency is like, would you please carry me? Right? That's not codependency. It's like me depending on you completely, and you depending on me completely, and we're both laying on the floor waiting for each other to carry us somewhere. That's not codependency. That's like completely. You can only depend on someone when they are playing the role for you to depend. They have to carry you. So when you're both walking, but you're sort of helping each other walk because you're injured, and like you've got a sore foot and you got a sore foot, but together we've got one good foot each. We can like help each other up the mountain because we can, you know. It's not quite the same as what they. So these words are like you said. What was the other words you mentioned? Disclosure. Oh, that's a brilliant one, huh? Disclosure. And also it's a disc. Yeah, disc. Lose. To lose your disc, right? And the disc is your chakra, your revolution, your energy, and you know, your glow. To lose your glow, this glow, like there's a lot of elements in that. To lose your light, to lose your truth.
Well, yeah, discloosh as well, discloosure. So, yeah, discloosure, lose your loosh, lose your loosh disc. Yeah, man, I've never thought of sell your soul as being like a cell. That's so interesting, because also like a cell confines, like if you're put in a prison cell, or like a cell is like compartmentalized, which is really interesting, because it's like that's literally what mind control is, because the psyche in Latin, spelt with a K, is a word for the mind, the soul, and the spirit. They're one and the same. So it's like the all mind is the all soul, is the all spirit, like the world soul. So if your frequency is confined, then like if your mind's confined, then you're sort of easier to manipulate. If you're kind of squashed down, like if your spark, your soul, your frequency is squashed, or is put in a prison cell, you know, you're easier to control. Basically, if you're disconnected from your soul, your spirit, or the mind, or the spirit, the soul, the all mind, like the world soul, if you're disconnected from that, and you just think you're just this individual YOLO, you know, here for a minute and then you're gone sort of thing, disconnected from reality, then what's the word, the phrase that when, you know, do what thou will, or whatever, you know, nothing matters. Doesn't matter what I do to them, doesn't matter what I do to me, just gonna fuck, drink, do drugs and whatever, you know. And I think that's what a narcissist is. And also the sell, to sell your soul, also reminds me of sail your soul, as in like a boat, a sail. And you're literally having your soul, your sail, your ship moved by an external force, and that external force isn't you moving your soul throughout the world. It's literally you're just on the boat, and your soul, your sail, the things that moves you through the world is just being blown by a wind, which is this artificial from outside this realm, like whispers in your ear.
Thank you for mentioning Aleister Crowley. I think that was brilliant. Like in a roundabout way, you know, doest thou will. Oh my gosh, that is such a big problem, especially in the world of occult. There are so many people that think that like they can just do as they will, and you can do as you will. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's not like you can't do it, but that, like, imagine do as you will, and you live in a big building, and you decide I'm going to listen to music loudly, and there's a little old lady downstairs that can't sleep. You're just being inconsiderate. And that poor old lady can't sleep and she's losing her mind. And to you, it's fine. Like you can go without sleep for like days, weeks, whatever. But that little old lady not sleeping for 3 days could get her ill. She could get a flu because she's so emotionally uptight because she can't sleep. That ends her life. Where maybe had she not got that flu, had she had some decent sleep, she might have been able to live another year or two and enjoy. And now her grandson doesn't have access to her, so his life is changed. And, you know, her children and her friends and her husband. And so think of how many lives that affects and the ripples out from all those lives. Just one little action like that can touch so many people's lives.
Oh, I have a question for you. Like with astral beings or astral parasites or whatever, it just really reminds me of vampires, of beings want to sink their teeth, and also these astral beings, can they not come into matter? Like they can't come into the matter, which is like a mirror, because they have no reflection. So they need to come in via our blood, like smart dust, nanotech, or like more mental, like what, because we have like the parasitic elite, like we have parasites, we have like other parasites in our body and stuff, but are there astral parasites too? And can they sort of live vicariously through us via via the emotional body? Is that correct? Because I think that might be a real problem if that is correct, like this. Because if that is correct, them getting into emotional body, this, I can see that they want to sink their teeth into our etheric body too, which is the other layer. Yeah, I just wonder if you've got any like clarity on that, and what people can do to you know, to stop these attacks, I guess. You know,
Totally, brother. You know, that is the crux of it. They totally live through us, and it's because of, like you say, our blood and our connection to the physical realm, and our DNA is vibrating here. They don't have DNA vibrating here, so DNA is the key, right? That DNA, what we call DNA, is a vibrant field that connects consciousness to like thought to matter in the field of consciousness. And these beings that are operating in a sphere of thought, and emotion is a kind of thought. Just bear with me on this. Like it's a mental reaction. It exists within the sphere of thought. So that emotional conduction is how they move into this world totally. And just to branch out from that, so the 7 demons, right, are the 7 deadly emotions. There's something to think about here. So lust, envy, hatred, right? Those 7 fundamental things, and we all know what they are because we feel in our hearts, right?
do they relate to the 7 chakras at all? Like lust being sex, pride being the heart.
Yes, yes.
They relate to the 7 chakras, maybe.
They do, and the 7 principles of hermetics, of course. But these beings are able to suck energy out of. So when we're experiencing those emotions, guess what? You're not alone. You're not alone, buddy. Like when you're experiencing love, you're not alone. Because there's a certain kind of being that comes here to feed off love. And that being that feeds off love gives you more love. But that's a transaction I can work with. I'm on board. Sign me up. Like, where do I sign? So going back to what I was talking about before, that everything is a cooperative experience. There is no such thing as we are not in a soap. We are not in a bubble separate to the universe. So if we're experiencing love, we are bringing the beings of love, and the beings of love feed off of our love. And what do they do with the feed of our love? They create more love out of our love, which they then give back to us, right? So what the beings of hatred come to feed off our hatred. right? And from our hatred, they make more hatred. And what do they give back to us? They give back to us more hatred, so that we then have more hatred to make, so that the hatred beings can feed off more hatred. It's a vicious cycle. So these beings are actually living beings. We think of these emotions as just being personal things that we experience. No, this is a spiritual connection through the chain of life, through our soul family, through the collective of soul families, through the and soul families of different beings. They're not all human. There comes to the point where we expand outwards and we're connected to every living being, the insects, the animals, the trees, the everything. We're all in one connection of life. And so when we allow ourselves to recognize that these 7 emotional fields that we're experiencing are living beings, then we have a choice, right? There are those beings that are here to generate life, and there are those beings that are here to take life. It's really that simple. And if we are, hatred is to take away life force. Envy is to take away life force. Pride is to take away life force, right? Because what happens with pride? I'm better than you, right? That's like, where does pride end? Pride ends with, wow, I'm amazing. That's like, it's a fast track into narcissism, man. It's like, it's the direct, it's a one-way ticket. Like where do I buy my ticket kind of thing, you know? Because if we get too proud of ourselves, then we get too special, and then we're so amazing that we can't ever make a mistake. So all the mistakes that we're seeing in ourselves can't be us. So we must now, in our minds, play a trick on ourselves and believe that it's that person. And now we must try to purify that human being outside there, because we're already perfect. And the act of trying to purify that person is narcissistic behavior, like harmful stuff. So, and how do we guard ourselves from that? It's simple. Those 7 deadly emotions. And each emotion has got an emotional family, a soul family. And within that soul family, is soul family. So it comes down to a simple thing. What do we buy into with our consciousness? What do we allow ourselves to buy into, right? Do we think thoughts about ourselves of, I'm not good enough? Stop. If you catch yourself thinking that thought, recognize, oh my gosh, if I think I'm not good enough, that means other people aren't good enough. Is that what I want to give to other people? Do I want to make people feel that they're not good enough? Because if I feel like I'm not good enough, at some point I'm going to make someone else feel like they're not good enough. Is that what I want to bring to my soul family? Here's the key. Did you see it? I hope you guys did. Selflessness, right? It's not about me. It's about us. And when we're thinking about us, then suddenly it's so much easier to be more conscientious. If there's a negative thought pattern coming, it's not just me in my little soap bubble. These thoughts are going to affect my soul family. Oh, stop if I allow myself to dwell on this thought, it's going to affect my child. It's going to affect my wife. It's going to affect my mother. It's going to affect all the people I love. It's going to affect the people that they know and love, and cascade outwards. And on inner levels, it's going to affect everybody on this planet. So we have a responsibility not to allow ourselves to dwell on negative things, negative soul-destroying emotional trends. And if we are aware of that, when those beings come, because they're literally like little beings that swim through the consciousness of ourselves, when they come, we're like, hold on, do you have a ticket? Sorry, let me check your ticket. Oh, this ticket's expired. Sorry, buddy. But thanks for coming. Sorry, you don't have a ticket. Only those with tickets are allowed to ride in this boat, right? And so we guard our boat. And sure, like sometimes someone's going to sneak on. You go, hey, who? You? No, you sitting over there. Let's see your ticket. Oh, how did you get? You don't belong on this boat. Sorry, you got to get off the boat. And so we keep our boat clean of people that of beings that don't have tickets, and only those with tickets get to ride. And so that is how we protect ourselves, by protecting each other. I think like that's the key. That's like the meaning of soul family. Like we're in it together, and we are here to make other people's lives better, right? Like we're here, as a parent, it's so easy. This is why parenting is such a powerful thing, man. Hey, as a parent, it's so easy, isn't it? Like, I'll give you an
What's easy?
example. We are here to make other people's lives better. That's our purpose. And when we align ourselves with that purpose, then we're protected. And so the more we align ourselves with that. So as a parent, for example, if we're not a parent, we might just want to go off and party or drink or do this or do whatever we want to do. Drop substances, have a wild rush. When we're a parent, we're like, no, that's not good for my kids. I can't behave like this. It's not good for my kids. Now, when you're a parent, what you do in the world, you stop and you think, how's that going to affect my kids? No, I'm not going to be like that. That'll be bad for my children, right? So when we become parents, it's so easy to be better. Like, what should I eat? Oh, I should stay healthy. Why? Because my parents deserve a healthy father, right? Like, should I just eat crap? No, because my parents will watch me eat crap and they'll want to eat crap. So I've got to now behave the way I want my children to behave. I've got to do what's best for them. That parental instinct is such a powerful spiritual motivator for good, I think. So we should all go off and have kids.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone should have kids. Yeah, unfortunately, the people who should have kids aren't, and the people who shouldn't have kids are. Like in a way, Elon Musk's got 13 children. A very good example of who shouldn't be having kids.
Does he have 13 kids?
Yeah, and his 13th child is a moon child, and the name is significant. Yeah, I can't remember his name. Elon Musk's 13th child. 13th child.
This is how disconnected I am, man. I didn't know he had 13 kids. Holy crap. That's pretty wild, man.
He might have had 14 now. His son's name is after. Oh, it's Romulus. I think I'm pretty sure it's Romulus. Pretty sure it's Romulus, his 13th child, something like that. Anyway, yeah, you know, I had to shake off some demons when I first started podcasting, because I had this devil on my shoulder saying, you're not good enough, like, what are you doing here, sort of thing. But at the same time, I had all of this information and stuff I'd been soaking up and flipping it, reversing it, dissolve it, dissect it, coming up with a fresh perspective, not stuff I was just copying and stuff. But I had this kind of voice on my shoulder, so I didn't go on any podcast for a few years, like a good few years, until I thought, okay, now I'm ready. But I had to shake off that whisper in my ear saying, like, what are you doing, sort of thing, you know. And it's a process. Like the podcast I did like a year ago shifted my perspective slightly, but it's a point. It's like if you don't go and do something, you'll never do it, and you've got to start doing something to get better at it. But unfortunately, we have these like voices with us sometimes telling us that we're not good enough, you know. And the thing is, like, we might not think we're good enough, but to other people or to somebody else, they might be like, wow, that's a really cool concept, or that's a really cool piece of art, or that's really cool music. And unfortunately, that would never have been brought to the world if we listened to these voices.
You're right about the name being Romulus, hey? I'm not sure. I don't know much about that name. I mean, other than what I've heard, is it's got to do with Rome and the twins, isn't it? The two twins. And the Caesars were like quite connected to that, weren't they? It's really interesting, like the foundations of Rome and the foundations of his 13th child. And obviously there's a custody battle going on, which is interesting. How can there be a custody battle going on against Elon Musk? Doesn't he like own the court and the judge and like everybody else? Doesn't he like own the woman who's the mother? Doesn't he have a receipt for her? Like, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I've got a receipt. She's my possession. I own her. I own the child as well.
The myth of Romulus and Remus sounds very similar to Jacob and Esau, Ahriman and Ahura Mazda, the twins, because Romulus killed Remus over a territorial dispute. Now, to me, that sounds like this battle of these two twins, like Jacob and Esau, the two brothers, and Jacob then founding Israel, and then you have Ahura Mazda and Ahriman, and Ahriman forcing its way out of the womb, and then these two twins battling. But yeah, they were raised by a wolf. There's also a film called Raised by Wolves, which is about AI as well, which I might have to go check out, because that's clearly about Romulus and Remus, and his son is Romulus. Yeah, man, I don't know who's having kids with this guy, but you know, it's pretty savage to think that he's having so many kids, and people that should be having children aren't, because they care too much, and they have this program of the world's overpopulated, climate change, this and that. So yeah.
You make a really good point, hey? So if someone like our musketeer is going to have so many children, right? Are his children going to be like him, billionaires that each have 13 children, right? So that's like, what is 13 squared? It must be about, is it 208 or something? What is 13? No, not 8. 13 squared. What is it?
169.
169. Okay. Well, interesting. 169. So he could potentially have 169 grandkids, right? Okay, so ride with me on this, baby. Ride with me on this. So Elon Musk could potentially have 28,561 great grandkids. If this is the balance that we're talking about. So one bloke could have 28,000 plus great grandkids, where the average person would have, no, hold on. Yeah. Where the average person could have 2 children, right? And there would be 4 grandkids, and that would be 8 great grandkids, maybe 10 great grandkids. So the average person, according to the average numbers, could have like maybe 10, just over 10 grandkids, great grandkids. But this dude could be rocking like 28,561 great grandkids. At that, how long would it take them to replace the population with their own progeny? Just the ratio, the expansion. So how many great grandkids would Elon Musk then have, right? So that's like now let's play with this. Let's play with this number. So 28561. Okay, let's do it. Are you guys ready for it? So Elon Musk could have, oh gosh, this is ridiculous. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No, that can't be right. Elon Musk could have. Is this right? Please, people, double check my math here. I might have made a mistake. 815 million great grandkids. How long
Surely
would it
not.
take him to like repopulate the earth? No, that can't be right. That can't be right. Sorry. Can that be right? I've got to go back a step here. So okay, so 13 squared is 169. There's 169 grandkids, right? And 169, right? How many great grandkids is that? That's 2,800. 28,000. Sorry. That's 28,561 great grandkids. Wow. And then we got to square that again, right? Yeah. We're dealing with ridiculous numbers, right? Like the exponential growth of these families is something else to think about.
Well, maybe that's
Right?
what the singularity is, just Elon Musk. Fucking himself.
Isn't that a scary thought? The dude could have 28,000 great grandkids if he carries. Is that great grandkids or grandkids? Great grandkids. If he carries on like that, and then great grandkids, like the dude could populate a country. Like, are we? It's like this is how exponentialism works, right? So, if you've got 28,000 grandkids, right? And each of those grandkids are going to have 28,000 great grandkids. Then you got great. So how long would it take him to populate that? That would be like he's got to go from you to grand to great grand to great grand, right? So that's a 3 scale. So 6. We're talking with like 2 centuries. Like you could be populating a country, your bloodline. It's quite, and if all the billionaires are doing this kind of thing, right? And the rest of us are being removed from the world, how long will it be until like most of the offspring are from their bloodlines? That's actually something that's quite really like, it's scary to think about. I never really did that kind of looking at that math and how that works. Because if you could have that many great grandkids, then that child would have that many great grandkids, but there would be that many of that child to have that many great grandkids, right? And so there's this exponential growth curve, and we're talking about over like 15 generations. You would have being able to create like an incredible population. This is like the kind of stuff that makes us really look at the stories that we've heard, right? About the world population, how there weren't human beings and how quickly we've arrived here. And when you start doing the math, it's actually quite incredible. Yeah, when we look at it.
What do you mean there weren't human beings here?
Well, a big part of the Tartarian story is that there are all these empty cities that are photographed with no one in them. And that there was some kind of something that happened, a purge, whatever. And sorry, I just got to go and let this little dog in because he's just so annoying and he's scratching the paint off my door if I leave him. Give me a second.
Sure. Yeah, I think that what could have happened with Tartaria is that maybe there was an ice age, and maybe all of these buildings thawed or something, and then they were found, and then there seemed to be a lot more water around then as well when these so-called buildings were founded. Perhaps when the Arctic ice melts, as it does in cycles, there'll be more cities found under there too. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like, what kind of cataclysm could it have been? Like, and then because a lot of these buildings are like made of granite, if it freezes and thaws, I don't think it would affect the building so much. Do you think it could have been from an ice age, maybe?
What do you mean freezed and thawed?
Like these buildings that were founded, like was there an ice age and then they melted and they were found? Like how do you think the humans were wiped out? Like a flood?
If you ask me honestly,
Flood?
I think it's most likely through genetic manipulation and genetic engineering and viruses, diseases. Like if we got to a high level of evolution, we started messing with our own genetics. And what happens if human beings messed with their own genetics to the point that they could no longer breed? How long would it take them to just no longer be here? Let's say we take the wrong kind of vaxxers, right? And suddenly we can't breed anymore. Like could 95% of the human population be gone in like 2 generations? We're all here, and 100 years later, there's just like this a few lone survivors that maybe can breed, the odd few. Who knows? To me, that's the most likely. And look at how these people are obsessed with eugenics. What is this eugenics obsession? Where does it come from? You know, it could have been weapons, right? Could have been viral weapons. It could have been other weapons. It could have been radiation. They could have developed the next level of 12G. Everybody just fell over. Done. Like that's it. You had us on 5G. You had to go to 6G, 7G, 8G, 9G, 10G, 11G, 12G. Boom. End of the human race. You know? Like, is it not possible that like we could cause ourselves that much harm with technology in like so many ways? It could have been vaccines. One bad vaccine given to the human race. Sorry, one bad vaccine could like end the human race. It's scary, man, when you think about it. Because this stuff goes straight into your blood, right? It's not like you've got your normal defenses against it. So, you know, but yeah, the idea is that there were like hardly any human beings here. And then they came and at some point repopulated. These are one of the ideas, one of the theories. And there seems to be a lot of evidence to suggest the populations, you know, were very quickly repopulated. And by very quickly, we're talking with like a handful of centuries, repopulate the whole of the Earth population from being a very low population. When I say like nobody here, I mean like a very small percentage of what we've got people here, you know, like maybe 1 million people on Earth left, or 5 million survivors, or 10 million survivors. And from that, you could very, very, very quickly. Why did we have, you know, our grandparents used to have like, oh my gosh, have you had a look at the most number of children that anybody's ever had, just for the kicks? Have you had a look at it? Man, this shit will blow your mind. There's some dudes that fathered 150 kids, 283 kids. There are some women that mothered like 60 kids, 50 kids, 40 kids. Octuplets. Have you heard of octuplets?
No. A lady's had nine kids, I think. 9 and 1.
This is what I'm saying. This used to happen in the past. Like, is that natural or is that engineered? Did they do that to some people, and some people have got the engineering left in their bodies, like generationally? I don't know. But Like, I remember having a giggle in the past. Okay, so like, what's the most children? What's the most children one man ever fathered? His story. His story. No, man. Okay, so we're talking about somebody who fathered 888 kids. No. 1700, 1800s. Let's go 1800s.
Yeah,
Let's go in the 1800s.
Hayes' story as well, because the history is hazy.
Yeah. Mulay Ismail ibn Sharif, 888 kids.
Wow.
Elon Musk. In the 1800s, the highest documented number of offspring for a single father was 87 children in Russia. That's in the 1800s. In the 1700s, it goes up. Like, it goes up like massively, man. I think it's like 130 or so. It just gets more ridiculous. A French diplomat recorded in 1704 he had already fathered 1,171 kids. Verified official count, though, was 876. 867. That's the court official count. So you explain to me how this was going on. And I know these are extremes, but like the average person, the average family was having like 7 kids, 8 kids, 9 kids. It wasn't unusual for a family to have 8 or 9 children. Right? And so, like, imagine every family is averaging 7 or 8 kids, right? And there's like 1,000 families, right? So you start off with 2,000 people, right? And then they've had 70,000 children. And then those 70,000 children has more than 500,000 children. Then those 500,000 children have 35 million children. Then those 35 million. Do you see what I'm getting at? Like it gets sorry, no, not 35 million, but you see what I'm getting at? Like that 500,000 children then have 5 million children, 6 million children, and then those have, so that it's like an exponential gap. It doesn't take that long, and that's just 1,000 families, right? That's like in one country. Like there's 1,000 families there, 1,000 families, 1,000. This is happening everywhere. So the idea is that the official records have been doctored, and that there was a time when the population was really, really low, and a lot of our buildings have been inherited from a previous age, and that's the big question, Toby. What happened to everybody? I mean, I don't know what's true. I'm not going to say this is emphatically true because I don't really know, but it makes a lot of sense to me when I think about it, and I like to make sense. Yeah, man. So, what are the other ideas you wanted to throw on the table? We've already been cranking for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, I think in the 1800s, there might have been some kind of like radiation thing going on, because they all wore wigs and they like painted their face white, and actually the stuff they painted their face, and they wore gloves as well. Like, if you have radiation, you're going to lose your hair, your skin's going to go all weird, and you lose your fingernails. So you wear a wig, you wear gloves. So yeah, there's probably some kind of radiation thing happened then. That's probably the most likely story. may yeah, some kind of weapon maybe to reset the population, and then ship some fresh fresh things like kids in. I mean, there's the Cabbage Patch babies as well, like lots of like lab grown kids and stuff. There's a really weird stuff went down then. There's a lot of great researchers into the topic, but yeah, it just doesn't seem so long ago. Like, we were told that there was a flood like 12,000 years ago, the Younger Dryas, but lots of these buildings seem to be under mud. Like, there was a big flood that happened then. So maybe there was like a lot of things happened. Maybe there was a flood, maybe there was like radiation, either a weapon or from the sun, who knows. But yeah, I think something I'd like to know more about is soul contracts. I do have to go very soon, but soul contracts is interesting because, like, do we come in here with like a contract? Do we make contracts with beings before we come in? Because I don't really buy that. I mean, you can maybe make contracts while you're alive, but perhaps you make contracts before you come here. I 100% believe that we all have a purpose. Like, we've kind of chosen to be here at this time. Like, we've been here before. Like, this story that's happening that we're in isn't new. It's something from the ancient past. It's very futuristic, but it's happening now in the present, and that we've chosen to come here at a certain time to kind of take part in this war that's happening, basically. But most people don't know that there is a war. Most people don't know. So yeah, I'm not really sure what soul contracts are. So yeah.
What I would make of soul contracts is I would say that they're made while we're alive. And it's like this. We involve ourselves in each other's lives. It's inevitable, right? And what we do in this life leaves a resonance behind. So, okay, let me give you an example. Let's say one person unalives another human being, hypothetically. In that action, they're leaving that etheric being, because when you're unalived, your causal being leaves. It goes like, woo, back to where but what's left behind here is the etheric being and the astral essences they left behind. The etheric very strongly here near the earth. So then if one person has caused that to happen, then that etheric being that's here is attached to your energy field, right? Because you've created that attachment through action. Now, when you leave and you come back, that thing that's been left here is still here. And it knows you, it remembers you, it attaches to you. We call it a shade. So when you come back, you've got a contract because you have an unfinished business with that being. You did something to that being. In the process of doing something to that being, you harmed yourself. The harm that you did to yourself is in resonance with the harm that you did to that being. So it's almost like there's a two-way radio. When you come back, yeah, you're still carrying that harm until it's resolved. And in the process of resolving that being, that healing, that is the soul contract being completed. But I think our choices and our actions that we do while we're existing, while we're alive, are what facilitate the soul contracts. And what we do here, there's no escaping from. We're liable. And we will come back to finish off all our liabilities. Sort of like a company, you know? Like you got to pay your debts, man. Like, you know, they'll come after you. Like, they'll take your couch and your car and your bed and your clothes and they'll take everything from you because you owe money. That's how it works.
So,
And I think
so
the
the
soul
debt,
contracts are not different.
so the debt collectors like Agent Smith in their suits, like tethering you back to the Matrix. Yeah, we are the debt collectors.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's why we're stuck here, and we're not like changing here to be the next, because like we're being stuck in that old thing. It's sort of like if you're building a house and you build one thing. Please, Joshua, not now. I'm busy, my boy. I'm going to come to you just now. I promise. Okay, I won't be long. I love you more than anything in the world. There's my one little soul contract. Standing, waving at me through the windows, trying to break my concentration. Put it on him. So if we are, I almost lost my train of thought. If we are, what was I saying?
You were saying about soul contracts, about oh god, do you know what? I can't remember either.
No, let me take a moment. It'll come to me. So if we are in a situation, yes, if we resolve all of our soul contracts, right, and we've cleared all of our debts. I'm using the word debts. It's a very crude way of looking at it, but a soul contract is like I've got a resonant frequency within me, and there's a resonant frequency within this being, and me and this being have got this contract because I've taken something from it. It's life, it's this, it's joy, it's peace, whatever. And that soul contract keeps me trapped with it. We call that a karmic web, a karmic pattern that we're stuck in. Now I'm going to keep reliving that in my consciousness until I've resolved that, right? Like if you do something bad to someone else, it's going to live on in your conscience. It's going to keep going on. And okay, the black magicians have got ways of pushing the conscience out of the way. But all that does is it makes them perpetuate the pattern even worse, right? Because the conscience is pushed out of the way, unconsciously they now have a desire to do that. So if they unalived someone and they push the conscience away, they'll have the desire to unalive someone again and then again. And it'll become a pattern. And next thing they're carrying an axe around in their bags, right? Axe, they're the axe man. So whichever way you look at it, there's no escaping because you've got that seed of vibration of that energy pattern within you. It's going to draw you back to that. And so once we get to the point where we've fulfilled all of the seeds within ourselves and they've all grown and produced the fruit that's necessary to bring us to a state of health, then we have no purpose here anymore. Here. Then we've finished this. Then we have the option to traverse into our home, our true place, or like the Buddhists speak of the bodhisattva. We could get to the point where we're leaving and we go, but hold on, what about the rest of humanity? Don't think this is working for them. Maybe I can help them to learn what I learned and help more of them like figure this out. And so bodhisattvas are then coming back by choice to make the world better because they feel drawn to sacrifice. And so that's where sacrifice comes into it, and love and devotion, and why it's so important in our soul family, because we set each other free. We don't just free ourselves, we set each other free.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's kind of what I was saying earlier about we all have keys for each other's doors. Like we're separated, but also when we observe, we recognize each other and we recognize the depth of each other, because we can't come in with all of our doors open. We come in with our dormant potential there. The seed knows what it is to be a tree, but the seed needs a bit of mem and a bit of ori, a bit of water and little bit of light, you know, to grow. And yeah, we can't really do it on our own. We need others to help, I guess. You know, that's why they want us all isolated in 15-minute cities, not traveling around the world. That's why they've made air travel so expensive, so we can't go to other countries and recognize that we're all human. This is why there's a broadcast out there of white people hate brown people and doing all this, and because they want us all separated. They want us separated by countries. They want us separated by race. They want us separated from timelines as well. You know, not all of us unified in a unified timeline where we can all kind of see like the trajectory of where we're going clearly, you know. Yeah, it's really interesting. I've written some notes here about the demiurge and Sophia as well. Maybe I'll save that for when we have a conversation on Tuesday or Wednesday. But I think the demiurge being separated from Sophia has something to do with our spark, and that when we like our wisdom, and that there's a reason that it's extracted, that when we pass on we loop back here, but we loop back without memories, like a blank canvas. And I understand we come in here as a blank canvas, but also we don't, because we have all this memories and stuff inside of us, but it's like kind of dormant potential. And I think that the end game is like realm of shells, realm of hungry ghosts. We're all just hollow, just filling the void, rather than expanding outwards and like sort of emitting our frequency out into the world, so that others from our soul family can recognize that, and we can all grow together. But I think this does tie into the demiurge as well. It also ties into the 1 and the 9 in the Enneagram too. The sun, the lion, and the snake, the death, the 1 and the 9. So yeah, I'll bring that up when we talk on Tuesday or Wednesday. I think Indy might be joining us to talk about the fall of Sophia, never-ending story, and like how this relates to like what's happening now. So yeah.
Are you joining us on Saturday? Tomorrow?
Potentially.
Because I wanted the demiurge to be part of tomorrow's conversation as well, sort of as a follow-on of, and I thought it'd be like really good because, but not solely the demiurge, but a big part of this world's construct, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's like something that we really need to pay attention to, and just how much of the, we've touched on it a lot of times, the demiurge energy, but just how much of it is relevant, especially, and will always be relevant, I think. So yeah, man.
Yeah, because I have a sense that it's like the demiurge is us, like it's a blind god, but we're its eyes, and that we to really truly ascend, whatever is a better word, that we have to, like the demiurge, if you think of it as like parasites in, or like the lower, like we sort of need to, rather than pushing them down, like recognize this lower and bring it up. And with the demiurge, it's been demonized, as has Sophia. But I think the demiurge is this blind energy, and it can only recognize itself through us. And there's this spell to be like, oh, the demiurge is this, like, it's to do with this like false god of this prison planet. It's like, well, what if? So I mentioned before that I found out that oath, EOUF, is egg in French, and it sounds like earth. Okay, earth, oath. Like, is it flat? Is it round? Well, I think it's an egg, it's an egregore. This realm is an egregore. It's a thought form. It makes sense because thoughts create everything. And what if we think it's a prison? If we think the demiurge is this evil thing, which seems to be like a dragon, lion head, body of a snake, seems to be a dragon, like guardian of the threshold. I think that what we need to do is sort of amp our frequency or whatever, tap into our frequency, expand, recognize the frequency in others as well. And then when we do eventually die and pass on, we can meet the demiurge head on like the dragon and recognize it and sort of release it, because maybe this realm is not what we think. It should be a place to grow, like a seed turns to a tree, like an egg, something hatches from the egg. And I think that I'm looking forward to talking about that, because there's a few things that I've not heard and that I've not said before, and be cool to have a chat. Unfortunately, I missed last Saturday because I kept checking to see what the topic would be, and I checked like the last minute. I couldn't find it anywhere. I only found out when I was at my sister's, because I would have made sure I'd put like an hour aside, because you know how I love words. But yeah, if we're going to be talking about the demiurge, I would definitely jump on at some point. Bodhi was sick day before yesterday. Orion's sick today. So fingers crossed, me and Esme are fine. I feel fine now. I'm sure I will tomorrow as well. But yeah, it'd be wonderful to come on and have a chat about that. Did you have anything else in mind in regards to the demiurge, like the topic for tomorrow? Like, why the demiurge?
Well, because it's a follow-on of this conversation in a sense. It has to do with narcissism. And who was the first narcissist? The demiurge. And so what is, you also dropped a hint to it a minute ago when you said that the demiurge can only see through us, can only see itself through us. Narcissists can't see themselves, but through other people. So do we each carry a demiurge within us? And is that demiurge the controller? And is narcissism when we allow ourselves to become enamored by our own internal demiurge? So it's like that whole microcosmic connection. And then, of course, how that relates to the psychology and our development as human beings, and to the tribe mentality, separating ourselves or together, brotherhood, sisterhood.
Yeah, like didn't Sophia like shun the demiurge? So like if you think of Sophia as wisdom or the divine spark, a being without the divine spark, like a vampire that seeks to take the spark from others, that's what the demiurge does. But at the same time, narcissists, I guess you've got to be careful, is like I just like to think that everyone can be healed. Like, I will always tell people to go fuck themselves, and I hate arrogance. But at the same time, I try not to. I don't say judge others, because as far as I'm concerned, you can only judge yourselves. Judgment is just your mind judging it. You have no control over other people's minds. You can have opinions. So I tend to try not to be opinionated about other people. But I do see a lot of people have wounds, and there's people that do have wounds, like they just need healing. So it's like the demiurge isn't this being which is like, maybe it's a narcissist. I think it just needs to be connected with the spark. It needs the love of a mother that's been separated. And I see it reflected in us. Like if we're separated from our lineage or our ancestors or our divine spark, we're going to be like isolated and then potentially become narcissistic. So yeah, very interesting. Deep, very deep philosophical conversation is going to be had, I'm sure. And obviously we're going to talk about the etymology, the symbology, the mythology, the psychology, the astrology, and how it affects the psyche as well. So I think
the cosmology.
Cosmology, all the G's.
All the G's.
Yeah.
Get all the
And-
G's and put it together.
Is the G in Freemasonry? I've always thought, is that the Grand Architect? Is that the Demiurge? Because they do seem to be, not always, but Freemasons now, not all of them. But I'm just going to cast judgment or my opinion that it's a very narcissistic thing, because they have a lodge in every town. They seem to control, take, there's a very dominating kind of organization that seeks to withhold information for themselves, and that G is the Grand Architect, which is the blind god, the Demiurge, potentially. Yeah,
Man, that G, I think it's the spiral of life, but like using that spiral of life knowledge, that's where's the altar going to be, and the G is coming out from there, and then the architecture is built around that, and the city is planned around that, and where's my desk going to be, in my office of control for the space, and using all of that archetypal knowledge of how the system is put together. And that's like what would we call it, esoteric or occult cosmology. So that's sort of like the idea.
So I've had this concept, and we should probably we've both got kids to see too, but like I always see the Freemasonic symbol as like square in the circle. You have the two symbols, because squaring the circle is confining the circle, is restricting, and the square is this kind of, they want everyone to be squares. They want everyone to have 1 degree. They want everyone to go to university, have a black cube on their head, and just having a 1 degree perception of reality. Whereas the 360 degree is wisdom, is the sphere, is the circle. So maybe I've got that wrong, but that's my perception of the Freemasonic symbol, is squaring the circle, is confining and restricting the spark, which maybe it's not always been that. Maybe it's not always been that. It's also the same with architecture. It used to be curved, and now it's all square.
I'll try and explain it. There's a mystery related to the black sun in that squaring, the circle and the compass and the square, and the maths involved. And so it's like it gets quite interesting with the Masons. It's about the mysteries of the black sun, the black cube, basically. That. But I think like the Masonic is, it's become animated by something else. There's something else that's taken over the Masons, just like something else has taken over everything. And I use the word Zionism because it's that Frankist Zionist movement of control on the earth. Like, what is the Zionist desire? They want to control Earth. They want to make Earth the way they want to make Earth. It's a very Zionist, that's a very narcissistic kind of a thing if you think about it, right? Like to take control of the Earth instead of just let everybody just be.
I'm finished now.
But man,
I just want to throw this out there as well. I think maybe Sophia had twins. I've tried finding sort of information on that, and I can't. But I can just sense that the Demiurge is twins. It's not one being, and the reason for that is because like you have Zervan, which is cosmic, infinite time, and then you have Ahriman and Ahura Mazda being birthed. You have the story of these two twins, and I think that it's this duality. It could either be this or that. The Demiurge could either be a protector or it could be dominating, and I think that people think it's dominating, so that's the egregore, that there's a dominating, we're bringing in this dominance. But if you think of this being more of protective, then perhaps that's what it will be. Who knows? But yeah, looking forward to having a conversation. I'll definitely jump on tomorrow for a bit. It's just the evenings are quite tricky sometimes. Get all sleepy around like 8-9 o'clock, so I'll try and jump on earlier tomorrow.
Well, looking forward to it. And always an honor being on this little discussion panel with you. And thank you everybody for joining us. Sending you all big love and big blessings. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic Friday. We look forward to a fantastic Saturday. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, dear brother. Om Shanti. I'm glad to see your little guy's back to himself again, back to normal. He seemed like he was quite like, in a good little buzz.
Yeah.
And big love, brother. Om Shanti. Everybody,
Take care, man. See you soon.
take it easy. Keep the smile alive. Big love. Om.